The moment the question fell from little Alara's lips, the world around Orion Hale seemed to freeze, not dramatically, not with thunder or shock, but with the subtle, terrifying stillness of a man who never imagined that life would force him to confront a wound he had spent years avoiding. It was a bright, late-morning Sunday in Crescent Bay Park, the kind of day when sunlight rested softly on the grass, children ran through the open field, and the sky stretched wide in pale blue innocence. Yet Orion felt his throat tighten as if someone had quietly placed a heavy hand on it. Alara, only 7 years old, sat beside him on the wooden bench, swinging her small legs, looking up at him with eyes filled not with mischief or embarrassment, but with genuine curiosity, a curiosity he had no idea how to answer. It was in that moment, under the calm warmth of a gentle day, that he realized how unprepared he was for fatherhood, even though he had been trying so desperately to play the part. Before we continue, if you believe in kindness, healing, and second chances, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Chronicles. It truly helps stories like this reach more hearts. Orion turned his face away slightly, pretending to look toward the fountain where sunlight broke across the scattered water droplets, but inside, he felt the old ache rise. He knew this question would come one day, because every child eventually asks it, yet he feared answering it, not for the biology, not for awkwardness, but because he feared where the truth might lead. Alara was not his biological daughter. She did not share his blood. And she did not know it. He had taken her in when her mother, Mara Jensen, his closest friend, passed unexpectedly 3 years ago. Mara had named him guardian in her will, trusting him more than anyone else in the world. And Orion had promised himself that one day, when Alara was older, stronger, and ready, he would tell her the truth. But for now, he wanted to preserve the fragile world she lived in, the world she believed in, the world where she felt safe. He hesitated, fumbling with the cap of the juice bottle he held, and finally responded with the gentlest explanation he could think of in the moment. It was clumsy, vague, and coated with panic. Alara accepted it with half belief, half wonder, nodding slowly before skipping to the grassy patch to chase a passing butterfly. Orion watched her small frame lit by midday sun, her hair catching the brightness like strands of gold. She was everything he had left, the last connection to Mara, the person who had once saved him from a dark life he never spoke about anymore. And he had sworn to protect Alara at all costs. But lately, the cracks were showing. He felt the weight of the unspoken truth, the reality of her origins, the approaching questions that would only grow sharper as she grew older. Orion's days were long and quiet, filled with work at the auto repair shop and afternoons caring for Alara. He kept his pain tucked neatly behind smiles, hoping she would never see the fractures he carried. He remembered the days when Mara would bring baby Alara to visit him at the shop, laughing while telling him he should stop hiding from the world. Mara used to say that daylight was meant for healing. Now, every bright day seemed like a reminder of how much he had failed to heal at all. Yet he kept going, not for himself but for the little girl who trusted him with her whole heart. That day at the park marked the beginning of a shift. Alara started asking more questions in the weeks that followed, about families, about her mother, about how grown-ups fall in love, about why some families look different from others. Orion answered each one carefully, cautiously stitching together gentle truths without revealing too much. But the guilt gnawed at him. He felt like an imposter in his own home, a man pretending to be enough when he knew she deserved answers and a life far greater than he could give. One afternoon, while sunlight spilled through the kitchen window in soft, buttery warmth, Alara sat at the table coloring a picture of two people holding hands. Orion washed dishes, painfully aware of the growing silence between them. Alara occasionally stole glances at him, and he sensed the buildup of another impossible question. The quiet tension wrapped around him like tightening vines until finally, she spoke, her voice small and unsure. She asked why she didn't look exactly like him. It wasn't said accusingly or fearfully, just curiously. But that question pierced Orion deeper than the first. He felt his heart jolt. He turned off the faucet, wiped his hands, and sat beside her. His mind raced through 1,000 possible explanations, but all he could manage was another soft, vague reassurance about families coming in all shapes and forms. Alara accepted it, but Orion knew she didn't fully believe him. Her trust was still there, glowing like a soft light, but it flickered with confusion. He knew the truth could shatter her or set her free, but timing, as Mara used to say, was everything. The weeks rolled by, and the weight of the secret thickened. Orion's nights turned restless. He often paced the hallway after Alara fell asleep, the moonlight cutting across the wooden floor while memories of Mara pressed heavily on him. He remembered how she always urged kindness, honesty, and courage. She believed in Orion long before he believed in himself. And now, as guardian to her child, he wondered if he was honoring her legacy or betraying it by staying silent. One day, Crescent Bay Elementary invited parents and guardians to a daytime open house event. Orion attended, wearing the best shirt he had, though it still smelled faintly of engine grease no matter how much he washed it. Alara proudly introduced him to her teacher, Ms. Rennick, and her classmates. The children laughed brightly in the sunlit classroom, running around with the boundless energy only youth can carry. But then Orion overheard two children whispering. They noticed how he and Alara didn't share similar features. It was innocent chatter, but it struck Alara unexpectedly. Her shoulders drooped, and she looked confused, almost ashamed. Orion felt something inside him break at that sight. On the walk home, she didn't speak much. Orion felt the silence pressing into his ears. The sun was still high, the afternoon glowing peacefully, but nothing about the moment felt peaceful. It felt like an unraveling. When they finally reached home, Alara went to her room without a word. Orion sat on the living room couch, sunlight pooling around him on the old carpet, and felt like a failure. He knew he couldn't hide the truth much longer. Children grow, questions grow, and silence eventually becomes its own kind of wound. That evening, while the sky shifted from soft blue to pale lavender, Alara came out holding a drawing, one of her and Orion standing under a big sun, smiling. But this time, the smile she had drawn for herself was small, almost faded. She asked him again, more timidly this time, why they didn't look alike. The moment had come. Orion's chest tightened, and he realized that no matter how much he feared losing her, the greater loss would be her losing trust in him. He gently pulled her into his arms, feeling her small heartbeat against his chest. They sat by the window where the last of the daylight streamed across the floor, giving the room a calm, soft glow. Orion explained, slowly, carefully, that families could be formed through love, not just through shared blood. He told her that her mother, Mara, had loved her deeply, and that when Mara passed, she trusted him to raise Alara because she believed he would give her a good life. He told her she didn't grow in his body, but she grew in his heart. Alara listened silently, her eyes shimmering with confusion, sadness, and something else, something deeper, almost like understanding. When he finished, he expected tears. Anger. A broken heart. But Alara simply leaned her head against his chest and whispered that she already knew something was different, yet she also knew he loved her, and that made her feel safe. Orion felt an overwhelming rush of emotion, as if years of suppressed pain finally loosened. He held her tightly, tears slipping quietly down his cheeks while the room glowed with the fading light of day. In the following days, something within both of them began to transform. Alara started asking questions about her mother, but this time with curiosity instead of confusion. Orion answered honestly, sharing stories of Mara's laughter, strength, and warmth. They visited the park she loved, the little cafe where she used to write, and the seaside spot where she often sat dreaming. Daylight wrapped around them like healing warmth each time, reminding Orion that truth, even painful truth, could be a source of connection rather than separation. Their bond deepened, stronger and clearer than ever before. The silence between them was replaced with openness, and Orion felt the weight on his heart finally lifting. He realized Mara had trusted him not to be perfect, but to love deeply. And despite all his fears, he had done exactly that. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Chronicles. Your engagement truly helps keep stories of love, hope, and second chances alive.